sales marketing management has studied this. The question over the years, and I follow these, is how much time does the average salesperson spend prospecting, presenting, and closing? And what I call this is face time. Sometimes it's ear time, but mostly it's face time. How much time do they spend? Well, on average, going back to 1928, self-reports and also reports where their salespeople are followed around during the day, the average salesperson works 90 minutes a day. And the rest of the time they spend doing everything else. Traveling, talking, having lunch, checking their email, shooting the breeze with their buddies, going to movies in the afternoon when the boss doesn't know, and so on. So they spend 90 minutes a day, and 90 minutes a day FaceTime. So how do you double your income? I don't even think it's in here. The way you double your income is double the number of minutes that you spend face-to-face with prospects, qualified prospects. Double the number of minutes. And I've taught this for years. I did it myself, by the way. And every single person doubles their income because of the law of averages, law of probabilities. If you double the number of minutes you spend with qualified prospects, no matter what's going on in the world, you double your sales. It's automatic. It's guaranteed by what is called the law, not the theory, the law of probabilities. The law of probabilities says if you double the activities that you do to earn more money, then you're going to earn twice as much money. You don't know who's going to buy or when they're going to buy or what they're going to buy, but you know that if you work 3 hours a day, now that's all we're asking. That's all we're asking. It's 180 minutes a day. If you work 3 hours a day face-to-face, and all day long you think of only one thing, you focus, is how can I spend more time face-to-face with prospects? How can I spend more time face-to-face with prospects? Do you know what most salespeople do? They start to think of all the things that they could do that would keep them away from spending face time with prospects, because prospects reject you. So what are all the tricks that I can do to kill time, burn time? I know. I'll find a prospect that lives on the other side of Los Angeles, and it'll take me an hour and a half to get there and an hour and a half to get back, and I will not confirm the appointment because there's a good chance they may not be there. They may have forgotten about it. And then I can turn around and come all the way back. I've killed 3 full hours, and I can tell people, geez, I worked hard today. I was just really pounding it today. I was out on the freeway. I was driving all the way to Glendora to see that client. Of course, I made the appointment 3 weeks ago, and the person wasn't there, and so I had to come back, but geez, I was working hard. No, there's only one time that you're working, and that's when you're face-to-face, head-to-head, knee-to-knee, heart-to-heart, with someone who can and will buy your product or service in a reasonable period of time, preferably now. You're not working when you're talking to someone who may buy it in a year, or in 6 months, or when they win the lottery or something else. It's a person who can and will buy it almost immediately. Then you're working. All the rest of the time, you're a waste of time to yourself and to your company and to your future. So what we need to do is just stop deluding ourselves. We just say, okay, I'm going to increase the number of minutes I spend face-to-face. And I've worked with countless people, mothers with children. They had to drop them off and pick them up. But in between, they had 5 hours, and boy, they hammered it. For 5 hours, that's all they did was get face-to-face with prospects. They clustered their meetings in geographical areas. They moved faster from appointment to appointment. They kept a stopwatch how many minutes each day. And their income, they become the highest paid people in their companies working 4 or 5 hours a day. Wonderful stories. So keep asking this question. Now, by the way, if you're not in direct sales, then what you have to do is say, what are my 3? If you're in management, or if you're in supervision, or if you're in training or something else, what are the 3 things that I do that contribute the most value to my success? Now, there's 4 sort of corollaries to the law of 3. The number 1 is to do fewer things. Remember we talk about making a list of 20 or 30 things that the average person does in a month. Well, you'll find that only 3 of those account for all your value. The rest are just wastes of time. They're just distractions. So what you have to do is you have to do fewer things. You'll never get caught up with all the stuff you have to do. So you have to decide on things not to do. The rule is have a to-do list and a not-to-do list. And these are the things I'm not going to do until I have done 100% of the most important things. Number 2 is do more important things. Do the big 3. Number 3 is do them more of the time. Do them all day long. Is do everything else before and after work hours. But when there are customers available to be seen, do 3 things: prospect, present, and close. That's all. If you're not prospecting, presenting, and closing, or on your way to doing it, you're not working. You're actually depriving yourself, your family, of money. And number 4 is get better at each of your key tasks. My old friend, self-improvement, is get better at prospecting, get better at presenting, get better at closing. Now, there's other skills that Dustin has taught you that are absolutely essential. But these are the core skills. They're the golden triangle. If you do these three things well, building rapport, understanding their needs, presenting persuasively, overcoming objections, these are all things that will fall naturally into place. But if you see enough people and you present your product to enough people and you ask them to buy it enough, your sales will double. And then they'll double again. And you start, and here's the wonderful thing, is the more people you see, what happens to your skill level? It increases. If your skill level increases in each of these areas, how much time does it take to make a sale, more or less? Less time. So you can make more sales faster and faster, easier and easier in less time. Are you with me so far? Which is why some salespeople earn 10 times as much as others. They're selling the same product at the same price to the same people, but they are just better at prospecting, presenting, and closing. So just try that. That law of three alone is worth the price of admission. Now, number 6, what do I got here? Jeez, my phone. Damn. Okay. My watch stopped. And I'm thinking, geez, we've sure got a lot of time left. And we do. So let me just finish up this. Set priorities on your tasks before you begin. Use the 80-20 rule. Use the ABCDE method. Writing down and planning your day in advance will save you 25 to 50% of your time. It'll give you a 25 to 50% boost in productivity from the first day. You'll get your first 1 to 2 years of increased income by simply working from a list. So what we say is set priorities, use the 80-20 rule, and the start is to make a list of everything you do before you begin. Always start the day with a list, and best is to write the list the night before, because your subconscious mind and your superconscious can work on it for all night long. And when you wake up in the morning, you'll often have great ideas on how to accomplish the things that you wrote the night before. If you write things down before you go to sleep, you'll also be able to sleep more deeply because you will not be worried about forgetting stuff you have to do tomorrow. Then you use the ABCDE method. And this is a very simple technique. Many people have said it changed their lives and made them rich, especially with their goal. The ABCDE says an A task is something that's really important. It's a must. It's something that has serious consequences if you don't do it. Really important. So you put an A next to all the things you must do tomorrow. If you don't do them, people are going to be really unhappy. And B are things that you should do. These are things that you should do, but they're not as important as A's. And you never do a B when an A is left undone. A C is something that you could do, but it has no consequences. This has mild consequences. This has no consequences. And these are fun things, having coffee, reading the paper, checking for sales online, and so on. These are C tasks, and you never do a B when you have a C, or never do a C when you have a B left undone. Never do a B when you have an A left undone. A D is something that you delegate. And you delegate everything that you possibly can to anybody else who can do it at a lower hourly rate than you earn. Do not do Joe work. Do not do gopher work. Do not do labor work. Don't mow your own lawns and don't wash your own cars and don't do all of those things. Do only the things that pay $50 an hour or more. And finally, E is eliminate. And this is one of the most important parts of personal management, is to go through everything you're doing and remember the comfort zone. We get comfortable doing stuff that today has no value at all. We just like to do it. And so just stop doing it. Many people, for instance, they'll discontinue all their newspapers and magazines. Other people will stop watching television news. Some people will throw their television away completely. They just stop doing things that are really holding them back in life. I know families who've raised their kids on no television. And the kids, they go to their friend's house to see if they can get a sneak and so on. The kids get straight A's, get scholarships to top universities, come out at the top of their classes, have fabulous lives, because all that time that they would have spent watching television, they get into reading and learning and studying and family activities and so on. So eliminate everything that you possibly can to free up more time for the A tasks. Then you go over your list and you say, all right, what is my A1? What is the most important thing of all? This is the one task that if I do this, it's going to have the greatest possible consequences. And then going back to starting at 8:30 in the morning and going flat out for 90 minutes, that's what you start with. And you work on that flat out until it's done. Now, I told you I'm the top-selling time management author in the world. And the reason is because of my book. It's called Eat That Frog. Has anybody here read Eat That Frog? Well, Eat That Frog is now in 42 languages, sold several million copies. Some companies buy 1,000 copies at a time. It just came out again, was reproduced again in England, one of the best-selling books in England, Russia, China, Japan, every major country, and even minor countries, like it's in several Indian languages, Gutari and things like that. And what it says is two things. You start on your most important task and continue with it till it's done, and don't do anything else in between. That's it. Go home. It's that simple. And of course, it gives 21 specific techniques to plan, organize, set priorities, and so on. But basically, it says use all these techniques to select your most important task, and then start on that task before anything else, and then work on that task until it's done. So the last way to double your time productivity is called single handling. Single handling is where you concentrate on one task night and day, hour after hour, until it's finished. Single handling will double your productivity almost overnight. Is if you take one task and you put your head down and you just go full blast on that task, and you don't listen to any distractions, you don't check your phone, you don't check your computer, nothing. You just work on that one task until it's done. And if you can do this, your productivity will double, your income will go up and up, you'll feel fabulous about yourself, you'll be one of the most productive people in your company, and you'll have a fabulous life. And so now that we've covered these subjects, Dustin asked me to throw it open for questions. It's a little bit after 12, but let's take a few questions and answers, and then we can wrap up. Is that okay, Dustin? I'm sorry, but I can't believe it. My watch quit twice. Damn. Yes, that's a benefit to you. So you're getting extra. Yes, go ahead. Yes, sir.
The last statement you made, single-handedly, a lot of these principles that I'd love to teach my son who's just entering high school, and I'd love for him to learn a few things. Plus, I got one counselor in particular I think has a lot of the traits he does. How do you help someone handle that portion of it if they have ADHD?
Huh. Well, that's kind of a medical question which I can't answer. If they have ADHD, it's really hard. But there are courses where people can be taught to concentrate, be taught to work one step at a time. The tasks are broken down into small tasks, and then they're taught to just work on one small piece of the task. Now, here's an important question with regard to ADHD, and I'm not an expert on it, but I've spoken to experts. Come on, Dan. You know how much this watch costs? And it won't work? Oh, shit. There you go. Look at that. Never force anything, just use a bigger hammer. The specialist that I worked with at a conference in Las Vegas, and he worked with ADHD children all over the country, he would ask this question. He says, first of all, he thinks ADHD, or attention deficit disorder, ADS, is over-prescribed, over-diagnosed and over-prescribed. So the question he asked is, does your children have a movie that they like to watch? Do they have a favorite movie? And so I would ask you that question. Does your child have a favorite movie that they like to watch?
A couple shows.
And do they watch the whole movie?
Sometimes not.
Well, see, here's the point. If a child can watch a whole movie, especially if they've seen it before, they don't have ADHD. What they have is maybe hyperactivity. But if they can watch a whole movie from beginning to end, they don't have attention deficit disorder. That's the proof.